at night, the trains don't stop at 8:30 until 6 o'clock in the morning. So at 8:30 we close the station, and then we open up this wooden wall, and then we use the whole railway station for events or parties. The people we work with in the neighborhood are very fragile people. So like 2 weeks ago we did an opening with pictures of this one homeless guy and one drug addicted who lives near the central station. So it was opening. Of course they were the central guests, but one was in prison and the other was in the hospital, so they could not come. If you come in poor neighborhoods like this anywhere in the world, first thing that people will ask you is not give us art, but it's give us a job. And they are right. So it's important for the credibility of your cultural activities. It's important that you have this economy part, so that the people know they do things they provide jobs too. So it's important to combine both. But the space is not fit for theater. The space is not fit for dance. But it's ideal for talks, for music, for parties, and sometimes I do performance. There's too much noise from the trains. We don't have a big stage. The ceiling is very low. It's only 3 meters 40. But it's not our task. We do other things. Marcel Duchamp was right. Context determines content. So, and when I was at Recyclage, of course, culture is important because it brings people together. But you can only bring people together in an atmosphere of informality. And this is one of the most interesting paradoxes in our work. You cannot create informality, because if you create informality, it becomes formal. It's not informal anymore. And so when I bring a musician from New York or from Berlin here, and I come with him and he sees the place and he looks around and maybe he smells the barbecue, he sees the walls and he says, man, I really feel at home here. And he hasn't heard a single note of music, he hasn't seen anything culturally. So why does he feel at home? And it is because of the architecture. I often wonder, it is because we use a building for a different purpose than for what it was used to be used for, or for what it was built for. It's a railway station, but we use it for cultural events. And that creates an inherent sort of informality. The main idea is to create
because it can't be so informal.
Social cohesion. And what I want to do, especially in summer, because then it's nice, it's good weather. So what do we do outside? We cut hair, we tattoo people. You saw it. We barbecue, we bake bread, and we have parties. So the idea in what I want to create is a village in the city, because I don't believe in a city that is made with a master plan behind the desk from an urbanist. I believe in a city that is like a village, and if it's a big city, I believe in a city with a network of villages. Because I think you can only survive on a human scale in a village type of context, and this is what we try to do here. In this way, we have to be very quick to see and react to the changes of the surrounding. Otherwise, you freeze something, and then after a while you become old and obsolete. And also symbolically, it's also important that we are under this north-south trainway junction, because the junction cuts Brussels in two. It's like a big scar. It cuts the city in two. And it's a brutal attack on the social. They destroyed lots of neighborhoods between 1910 and 1952 to build this railway. So it's like a scar in the social tissue. And it was important to come exactly here and to try to bring these two city sides together again. So it's like a bridge between the two instead of cutting it in two. That's why it's symbolically important that we are here. If the surrounding completely changes, if it's really gentrified, then maybe Recyclage has to move, and this has to become something else. I don't know what, maybe a crash for children, or I don't know what. At the same time, yeah, it's a lot of problems. It's cold in the winter, the water is leaking like you see. There's water leaking everywhere. And you cannot structurally repair it because it's the railways. We cannot go there and lift the railway and make it's impossible. So slowly it deteriorates, but it's a metaphor for our life and our existence and our planet. So let's hope that we deteriorate before the structure falls on our head.
But he actually was another and he managed to convince all the people from the group. So they came all like in the evenings and in the weekends to help a lot. It looks a bit like these type of postcards.
No, but I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. Right now we have almost 400 volunteers. Because we have some volunteers helping at the office. And we also have a raad van bestuur. Like our director who comes together with a group of people, like I don't know how to say it.
Like a board?
Yeah, I think like a board. And there's also some volunteers in it, so some volunteers represent like
representing.
Yeah. For many of them, it's an important investment of time. We let them know that we need them. I think that's important. We have a lot of older volunteers because, like when I said before, like many of them know the Roma from before, and then they went to help here in 2003 because they've been here for a movie when they were young. So I think that's probably the challenge for the future, to find like young volunteers. There's like an actress, and she decided that she didn't want to act anymore, and she does a production right now. But it's not really, we're really artists. I did theater sciences, for example. So I think many of them are feeling it, but it's not really a visual artist. Last summer there was a whole new helping me with rotten and all. Also, we have like we call it the museum.
Okay.
But it's just like back in the days, you see the hole over there? Just here at the right side.
Yeah.
Because there used to be like a big projector, and somebody sit there to like really.
The projector is.
Yes, like old cinemas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. And actually, last year the guy who did it, he died. Because often we had tours, and then he tells the
He would
story.
explain,
Yeah.
And has anyone who started as a volunteer become part of this staff?
Like as part of the paid stuff. I don't think anyone of them got part of the staff.
Nou, als je daar bent, dan blijkt het eerlijk nog dezelfde liggen. Ze geloven dat ze spiegel. Ze halen de lettertjes daar. Ze halen de lettertjes weg. Dan kun je het schilderen. En dan halen we er eigenlijk, hetgeen dat nu spiegel is, halen we dat ook weg. Maar dat is wel enorm veel.
Left-wing district in all of Antwerp. So yeah, I wouldn't want to work in the center of Antwerp. There's lots of associations, like Al Ikram, but there's many. And just this school just around the corner, and with 6,000 people every year, like newcomers, which we try to invite here. I think many people, like when they don't know that the venue is here, they just pass it, and I say like, yeah, okay, it's a nice.
But it's huge.
But it's huge, but still many people don't know it. Or
Hopefully not a store, a grocery store or something like that, because there are some cinemas on the to the Noordse Baan on the big avenue here that were formerly cinema theaters, and there are no transform to grocery stores, and you can't see anymore what it was, the building. So what could it be in the future? My main goal would be that it still should be a place where people can meet each other. That it connects people from the district, and perhaps a social restaurant, something like that, where people can come and eat and meet with very low prices, where they can buy a meal with very low prices. I think that would be a nice combination.
Jasmine and espresso, that's what it's sorry. Thank you in full.
Por las dudas, ellos no están juntos. Quiero los dibujos, pero no puedo.
The best thing that we have is that it's very open here, very wide. There are no like pillars or very little walls that are obstructing. So it's very open. That gives kind of a living room feeling. Also allows people to, everybody's always in connection. It's very open. On the other hand, that is also a negative thing, because that makes it very bad acoustic. It's a unique neighborhood, I think, because it's very multicultural. It's very like a lot of galleries, a lot of art places, a lot of theaters. It's vibrating. That's what we like. I could not imagine having this place in the south or in the center where you only have tourists coming by. And we are.
Do you have that connection here?
Yeah.
Can we like very different people, or you feel it restricted?
No. We have people from all the communities living here around coming, and we are very locally based. I mean, a lot of people from the neighborhood, they come here several times a week because they see it as a neighborhood place as well. Well, I think we do attract kids and children because we have some like toys or games. The big table is really like inspiring to start to create, to start to make drawings. It attracts people. And the floor over there, I mean, with all the stones, all the colors, children love it. That's why. Me too. Yeah, me too. I mean, adults and children, they love it, so that's why they
Do you feel like in the same level, like the art you have, the food you serve, and the children games, it's all the same thing? Or?
Yeah, it's the same thing, because everything we do, we try to do it good, and we try to do it with some kind of beauty in it. The sandwiches we make, we're not just making them up. If we put them on a plate, they have to be beautiful. They have to invite you to eat it, not just put everything on. And the same with the games. We're not just ordinary games. We only put like books we really like, we find them inspiring. Only a lot of them are like wooden toys. We try to put that level.
Imagine you this place is not this bar anymore. What would you like it to be?
Wow, that's a difficult question.
Okay.
That's okay? You're really good.
Who wrote, he was in here for a few days and he wrote a blog post about all the stuff going on.
Ah, great.
Some time ago, but it's in English. So
That's
it explains
perfect.
all things.
And it's the other way of thinking, but 7 years ago it was a bit strange to think like that. When we had funding from the arts, and then and still it's a lot of places it's like that. You get the funding, and then that's the budget you work with. So at the end of the year, the budget needs to be finished, and that's it. It's like a monolith structure. Like there is the idea of planning a year 1 year before, and spending the money already virtually, and to turn that around and to think about opportunities and in a kind of open way how to deal with your plans and your finances.
Had to be sustainable for more.
Yeah, but that's really new. Certainly in 2010 it was really new, and we started thinking about this place in 2008, which was, of course, we all know the start of the crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So in the 2 years that we started to develop what we were planning to do was exactly the 2008 to 2010.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the main period in reinventing these places. That's also why we wanted to do this. And one of the things was to have an open agenda, open planning, and open space, but also make sure that also the budget is very flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And we started with the ambition of getting our own finances for 30 to, I always had the ambition to go to 50% of other income. Yeah. That was especially meant to be able to plan new things during the year.
Now your income it's
and now it's still 30%. Only.
But then the rest is because of the people that have this yearly.
No, absolutely not. That's only not even 10%. So it's easy that if I pay, I can use it and then I'll see. So and that's another thing that's really important. If you have to commit on another level, then it gets complicated, because then you as a user already need to know what you're going to do to make sure that the deal is closed.
Artists or makers or?
No, in our team, I'm the founder. In the beginning we were 4, but the others already left, and some of them started in other places, same labs in other places. Or the psychological level on how groups combine, how it works to have this understanding. Like in the beginning people said, yeah, but they're all volunteers, and there was something that made that less valuable to be a volunteer. And I was like, okay, but actually it's not. If we have people here for 4 or 5 years already, coming every week, doing things for the organization, for each other, helping each other, this is kind of a big thing. It's even more than having people work for you or paying people for doing things. So you need other skills to convince them and to work with them and to keep them on board and to listen and to make sure that you have this balance between where your organization is going, and sometimes it's also influenced by the funding, and on the other hand the people, they need something to work with, so they need some safety also on what is what it is, where they go. Like for example, when we started with explaining all the things at the wall, was something that's really important for the people. They don't have to make everything from the start. They enter a place that's already there and they can rely on it. And of course we have the residency program, so we have about 3 to 6 artists coming, and they are also staying here in a flat. They stay here for sometimes a year or even longer.
When did you start?
From the beginning. Yeah, because we came from the arts. We were already existing for 20 years as a festival, art festival. And then we started to become a workspace, it's called, in the Flemish legislation. So we were obliged to work with artists in residency way. Like the people from the artists, they are here for intensive period every day, and then the community people, they are here once a week. So it's a different level, different speed. So it still is sometimes, we don't have the big cooperation between one from the community and one, that's not happening. But when we are in the middle with our projects and we involve both, then they come together. And then for me the nice thing to explore is what other roles the artists can take. The perception of the quality of the artist being funded by the government or not. And the same with art houses. Being funded or not is very, very big difference. And on the other hand, in education, I believe that there is one of the key problems that they are all, and not only artists but also designers, architects, they are all educated to become a star, an individual, and not being a collective.